Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the ETS Nightshade, Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, watching the massive Confederation trade station through specialized sensors. After 15 years of covered observation, humanity knew far more about galactic civilization than anyone suspected. Admiral, Captain James Rodriguez's voice came through her neural link. Confederation Customs Patrol approaching the Centauri merchant ship. Chen nodded, though no one could see her in the darkened observation deck. The Nightshade's quantum camouflage systems made it completely invisible to known detection methods. They had spent years perfecting this technology while the Confederation dismissed Earth as pre-spaceflight primitives. Status of the merchant vessel? She asked. The Helios Sun is maintaining its cover story, crew showing appropriate stress signatures. Confederation patrol performing standard extortion protocol. Chen's jaw tightened. They had watched this scene play out countless times. The Confederation's customs inspections were nothing more than legalized piracy. The powerful species at the top used their peacekeeping authority to squeeze resources from weaker civilizations. Signal from Earth Command. Rodriguez reported. Operation Shadowbreak is authorized. Finally, after decades of preparation, humanity would reveal itself. But not as the primitive species the Confederation expected. Launch the probe, Chen ordered. A tiny quantum-shifted device, no larger than a coffee cup, detached from the Nightshade. It carried what appeared to be a simple distress beacon, precisely the kind of crude technology the Confederation would expect from Earth. The patrol vessel's sensors picked it up immediately. Chen watched through the Nightshade systems as the Confederation ships altered course to investigate, leaving the merchant vessel alone. They've detected the Earth identification signals, Rodriguez confirmed. Patrol leader is reporting to Sector Command. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Deploy the quantum net. Microscopic particles spread out from the Nightshade, forming an invisible web of sensors and quantum entanglement nodes. The Confederation was about to learn just how badly they had underestimated humanity. The patrol's commander appeared on the Nightshade screens, his scaled face showing contempt as he addressed the probe. Unauthorized Earth vessel, you have entered restricted space. Return to your system immediately or face confiscation and fines. Chen tapped her neural link. Execute Phase 1. The probe's simple distress signal transformed into a complex quantum transmission that completely overwhelmed the patrol's communication systems. Data flooded their networks. 15 years of documented corruption, trafficking, and exploitation by Confederation authorities. Multiple ships dropping out of quantum space, Rodriguez reported. Confederation Rapid Response Fleet incoming. Right on schedule, Chen replied. Deploy the fleet. Space rippled around the trade station as 12 Earth vessels decloaked. Each one was larger than anything the Confederation had fielded in centuries, bristling with technologies that violated dozens of their restrictive treaties. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, we're being hailed by Confederation Command. Put them through. A hologram materialized showing High Commander Vexthor, his multiple eye stalks quivering with rage. What is the meaning of this? Earth is a pre-spaceflight civilization. I'm afraid your intelligence is outdated, Commander, Chen replied calmly. Earth has chosen to remain apparently primitive while we assessed the true nature of your Confederation. We've had quantum drive capability for over 50 years. Impossible. Our monitoring stations were only detecting what we wanted them to detect. Your peacekeepers were too busy exploiting weaker species to notice they were being washed. The High Commander's skin flushed dark purple. These ships violate multiple treaties. Stand down immediately or what? Chen interrupted. You'll send your peacekeepers to collect fines. Launch an inspection. Earth never signed your treaties, Commander. We've spent decades documenting your corruption while developing technologies you banned to maintain control. That ends today. You dare threaten the Confederation. This isn't a threat. It's a declaration. Earth is emerging onto the galactic stage, not as another victim of your exploitation, but as a protector of those you've oppressed. The data we just transmitted is being broadcast across every quantum frequency. Every species in the sector now has proof of your corruption. Warning signals flashed across the Nightshade's displays as the Confederation fleet powered up weapons. Chen remained calm. Everything was proceeding according to plan. "Commander, look at your sensor readings again," she suggested. "Those aren't just warships out there. Every vessel in our fleet carries enough quantum processing power to hack and disable your entire weapons grid. We could have attacked at any time in the last 15 years. Instead, we chose to watch and gather evidence." The Confederation sensors confirmed her words. The Earth ships were radiating energy signatures unlike anything they had encountered. Years of unrestricted technological development had created capabilities that the Confederation's restricted sciences couldn't match. "What do you want?" Vexthor demanded. "Change. The Confederation will end its exploitative practices. Smaller species will be freed from your quotas and tariffs. Technology restrictions will be lifted, and Earth will ensure compliance. The Council will never agree. They don't have a choice. While we've been talking, quantum-shifted probes have been deploying around every major Confederation world. Your choice is simple: reform, or watch your control dissolve as we release proof of every crime you've committed in the name of peace." The High Commander's hologram flickered as he received urgent messages from his superiors. The Council was realizing just how completely they had been outmaneuvered. "You'll regret this," Vexthor snarled before cutting transmission. "Message from the Helios Sun," Rodriguez reported. "Captain sends their thanks." Chen nodded. "Tell them they're welcome to dock with us. It's time their crew learned just how many technologies the Confederation has been keeping from them." She turned from the observation window, finally allowing herself to feel the weight of the moment. Humanity had hidden its true capabilities for decades, watching and waiting for the right moment. Now they would reshape the galaxy, not through conquest, but by giving others the means to resist exploitation. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Operation Shadow Break successful. Phase 2 begins now." The Nightshade's quantum engines hummed as they prepared to escort the merchant ship home. Around them, the other Earth vessels maintained their positions, a clear message to the retreating Confederation fleet. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would ensure it changed for the better. 3 months after Earth's emergence, Dr. Maya Patel walked through the crowded halls of Outreach Station, humanity's first public installation in neutral space. What had begun as a simple trading post had transformed into something far more significant, a beacon of hope for species seeking to break free from Confederation control. "Dr. Patel," a voice called out. She turned to see Kixra, a Viridian scientist, his leaf-like appendages quivering with excitement. "The modifications to our atmospheric processors, they work perfectly. Our colonies can finally terraform without Confederation approval." Maya smiled, remembering how the Viridians had been forced to purchase expensive Confederation environmental systems. "Excellent. Remember to share the schematics with the other species we discussed. Knowledge should flow freely." The station buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species shared technologies that the Confederation had restricted for centuries. Earth's strategy wasn't to fight the Confederation directly. Instead, they were quietly undermining its control by spreading knowledge. Her neural link chimed. "Maya, we need you in strategic." Admiral Chen's voice carried urgency. The Confederation just made their move. In the Strategic Operations Center, holographic displays showed a developing crisis. 3 Confederation battlecruisers surrounded a small Nexu colony world, demanding increased tribute payments. "They're testing us," Colonel Weizong explained as Maya entered, "seeing if we'll risk open conflict to protect a single colony." Maya studied the tactical display. "Have they violated any of the new agreements?" "Technically, no," Chen replied, "but they've positioned mining ships behind the battlecruisers. If the colony can't pay, they'll claim resource rights as compensation. Then we respond with economics, not weapons," Maya declared. She opened her neural link to the station's quantum network. "Connect me to the Nexu Trade Coalition." Within minutes, representatives from 12 trading species appeared in holographic form. Maya laid out her proposal, watching as understanding spread across their alien features. The Confederation thought they could squeeze one colony. They didn't realize they were about to face something far more powerful than warships. 20 hours later, the Confederation fleet received new orders. Every major trading hub had suddenly refused to accept Confederation currency until the fleet withdrew. Thousands of trade contracts were suspended. The mighty Confederation war machine ran on commerce, and commerce had just stopped. "They're retreating," Zhang reported, watching the battlecruisers power down weapons. "Mining ships are withdrawing too." "Message from Confederation Command," Chen added. "They're claiming it was all a routine inspection. No tribute required." Maya nodded. "And how are our other initiatives progressing?" Zhang brought up new displays. Across Confederation space, change was spreading like wildfire. Earth's quantum technology had made information impossible to contain. Ships now carried banned medical equipment openly, daring peacekeepers to intervene. Colonial worlds installed their own defense systems, ignoring regulations. 73 worlds have declared themselves independently aligned this month alone, Zhang reported. They're not openly breaking from the Confederation, but they're ignoring more restrictions every day. Our technological packages are spreading faster than the peacekeepers can track them. The Confederation Council is in emergency session again, Chen noted. 3rd time this week. They still haven't figured out how we're distributing the tech so quickly. Maya smiled, remembering the quantum entanglement nodes hidden in seemingly primitive trade goods. Every banned technology, every restricted scientific principle, was being shared through a web of instant communication that the Confederation couldn't detect, let alone control. New development, Zhang announced. The Herix Assembly is requesting access to our educational databases, all 47 worlds at once. The Herix were one of the oldest Confederation client species, carefully kept dependent through restricted education. Their request was a clear signal. The foundations of control were cracking. "Grant them full access," Maya ordered, "and make sure they receive the complete industrial development package." The Confederation has been outsourcing manufacturing to them for centuries. Let's see what happens when they can build their own ships. A junior analyst rushed in, their neural link flashing urgent signals. "Doctor, Admiral, the Confederation just announced emergency restrictions on all quantum communications." Chen actually laughed. "They still think this is about technology. They don't understand that we're not spreading devices, we're spreading ideas." Maya watched the holographic displays, seeing the countless points of light where knowledge was taking root. The Confederation had maintained control by keeping species isolated, dependent, and afraid. But Earth had shown them a different path, one where cooperation and shared knowledge made everyone stronger. "Message from the Viridian Science Council," her neural link chimed. "They've successfully replicated our atmospheric processors. 3 more species are requesting the designs." "Send them everything," Maya replied. "And remind them, the only restriction is that they must share what they learn with others." The Strategic Operations Center hummed with activity as reports continued flowing in. The Confederation's carefully maintained hierarchy was dissolving, not through war or revolution, but through something far more powerful, the free exchange of knowledge and capabilities. "The Council's emergency session just ended," Chen reported. "They're demanding we cease all technological transfers immediately, threatening military action." Maya studied the latest data streams. The Herix had already begun modifying their manufacturing centers. The Viridians were launching their first independent terraforming project. Dozens of species were quietly building their own quantum communication networks. "Send the Council our standard response," she instructed. "Earth cannot control how independent species choose to develop their civilizations. We're simply providing educational resources, something that has always been legal under Confederation law." The implicit message was clear. The Confederation could either adapt to a galaxy of equals or watch its power structure crumble as species simply walked away from their control. Incoming transmission, Zhang announced. The Nexu colony is broadcasting their new planetary defense grid, Confederation-restricted technology, built entirely with local resources. Maya nodded in satisfaction. Make sure that broadcast reaches every colonial world in the sector. Let them see what's possible when knowledge flows freely. The silent uprising continued spreading across the stars, powered not by weapons or armies, but by the simple act of sharing what humanity had learned during its years of hidden development. The Confederation's peace had been built on keeping others weak. Earth's revolution was built on making everyone stronger. The alert came during third shift aboard the ETS Nightshade. Mining colony MC-227 has activated their emergency beacon. Lieutenant Kara Santos reported. Confederation peacekeepers are attempting a forced resource acquisition. Admiral Chen didn't need the neural feed to know what that meant. The Confederation, losing control across civilized space, had grown desperate. What they couldn't control through economics, they would take by force. How many ships? She asked. 5 warships, 3 mining vessels. They're claiming the colony violated resource quotas. Chen studied the tactical display. MC-227 was technically under Confederation jurisdiction, but its primarily Terrexian population had recently begun implementing Earth-provided technologies. This wasn't about resources. It was about making an example. Status of the colony's defense grid. Online but untested. They only completed installation last week. Chen nodded. The Confederation had chosen their target carefully. A remote colony, newly independent, still learning to use their defensive capabilities. Alert the coalition. Deploy the Nightshade and Stormbreak. Quantum shift in 3 minutes. Space rippled as the Earth vessels materialized near the colony. The Confederation fleet had already disabled the outer satellites, their mining ships moving into position to begin stripping the planet's resources. Interesting timing, Chen observed. They waited until the Terrexian Council was in session, when normal response would be delayed by bureaucracy. Admiral, Santos called out, they're broadcasting a general warning. Claiming this is an internal Confederation matter. Return broadcast on all frequencies, Chen ordered. Remind them of the New Athens Accords they signed last month. All resource acquisitions require independent verification. The Confederation commander's scaled face appeared on the main display. This colony has violated multiple regulations. We are conducting a legal enforcement action. Then you won't mind waiting 24 hours for neutral observers to arrive. Chen replied calmly. As per the accords your council signed, these criminals will not be allowed to. The only criminals here are the ones attempting to strip a civilian colony in violation of interstellar law. Chen interrupted. Withdraw your ships or face consequences. The commander's skin darkened with rage. You dare threaten Confederation authority. We have 5 warships to your 2. Chen smiled slightly. Count again. Space shimmered as quantum shields dropped across the colony. Dozens of defense platforms, previously invisible to Confederation sensors, powered up advanced weapon systems. On the surface, automated defense grids activated, their capabilities far beyond what the Confederation thought possible for a mining colony. This is your final warning, Chen announced. Withdraw. The Confederation commander opened his mouth to respond, but a new signal interrupted. The Terrexian Council, moving with unprecedented speed, had reached a decision. Their spokesperson appeared on all channels. The Terrexian people hereby declare full independence from the Confederation. The announcement began. All colonies and resources are now under sovereign Terrexian control. Any military action against our worlds will be considered an act of war. Chen watched the Confederation commander's face as he realized the trap. This hadn't been about one colony. It was about pushing the Confederation into action that would justify a mass declaration of independence. Admiral, Santos reported. Quantum signals detected. Multiple ships dropping out of shift. The space around MC-227 filled with vessels of different designs and species. Each one carried advanced weapons that the Confederation had banned. Each one represented a species ready to break free from centuries of control. "The Coalition stands with Taraxian independence," Chen declared. "Any hostile action will be met with unified response." The Confederation fleet powered down weapons, their commander's face twisted with impotent fury. They had walked into a carefully laid trap, providing the excuse dozens of species needed to formally break away. As the Confederation ships retreated, Shen opened a channel to the colony. "Status of your defense systems." "Functioning perfectly," the colony's chief engineer replied. "The quantum shielding performed exactly as Earth said it would. We're transmitting performance data to other colonies now." Chen nodded in satisfaction. The Confederation had tried to make an example of one colony. Instead, they had demonstrated to the entire sector that their authority could be successfully challenged. "Message from Coalition Command," Santos announced. 17 more worlds have declared independence in the last hour. The Confederation Council is demanding an emergency session. "Let them demand," Chen replied. "Their choices now are simple: adapt to a galaxy of equals, or watch their power structure collapse completely." She studied the tactical display, watching as more ships arrived. Not to fight, but to witness. Every species present would spread word of what they had seen. The Confederation's mighty warships, forced to retreat from a simple mining colony. Their authority, broken not by superior weapons, but by the shared strength of united species. "Send word to Earth," Chen ordered. "Operation Breaking Chains successful. The Coalition grows stronger. Freedom spreads." Around MC-227, ships of former enemy species flew together, their crews finally free to choose their own path among the stars. The chains of the Confederation were breaking, not through war or revolution, but through the simple act of standing together. The galaxy was changing, one colony at a time, and humanity, once dismissed as primitive, was helping forge a new future where strength came not from domination, but from cooperation. The Grand Chamber of Unity Station hummed with anticipation. Representatives from over 200 formerly subjugated species gathered for what historians would later call the galaxy's first free Congress. Dr. Maya Patel stood at the podium, looking out at the diverse assembly. "Today we gather not as rulers and subjects, but as equals," she began. "For centuries, the Confederation maintained peace through oppression. Today, we choose a different path." The massive chamber, constructed in just 6 months using combined technologies from 30 different species, represented everything the Coalition stood for. Every architectural element incorporated designs from different worlds, creating something entirely new. Admiral Chen sat in Earth's section, watching multiple species that had once been bitter enemies now engaged in peaceful discussion. "Remarkable what happens when you remove artificial restrictions," she murmured to Colonel Zhang. "Message from our observers," Zhang whispered. "Confederation fleet movements near the Herix border. They're testing our response times again." Chen nodded slightly. "How did the Herix respond?" "Activated their new defense grid. Confederation ships withdrew immediately. They're learning." At the podium, Maya continued outlining the Coalition's founding principles. "Our strength lies not in restricting others, but in sharing knowledge. Not in enforcing compliance, but in fostering cooperation." The chamber's quantum displays showed real-time updates from across known space. Trade routes once controlled by Confederation bureaucrats now flowed freely. Colonies that had been dependent on approved technologies were developing their own solutions. A Nexu representative rose to speak, their crystalline form catching the chamber's light. "The Confederation claimed peace required control. But look at what we've achieved in mere months of freedom. My people have already solved our world's atmospheric degradation, a problem the Confederation claimed would take centuries to fix." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. One by one, representatives shared similar stories. Worlds that had been kept dependent were becoming self-sufficient. Species that had been told they were too primitive for advanced technology were making breakthroughs. Incoming transmission, Zhang reported quietly. The Confederation Council is requesting observer status of the Congress. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Denied. They can watch the public broadcasts like everyone else. Maya activated the chamber's main display, showing a real-time map of known space. Regions once marked in Confederation colors were now a vibrant mixture, representing independent worlds and freely chosen alliances. The Coalition is not an empire, she declared. We are a fellowship of equals. Each species and world remains sovereign, but we stand together against any who would impose their will through force or economic coercion. The chamber erupted in approval. This was what Earth had worked toward, not replacing the Confederation's control with their own, but fostering true independence. New development, Zhang whispered. The Taraxian Defense Force just intercepted smugglers trying to bypass Coalition trade regulations. They were carrying Confederation currency. Chen nodded. The old power trying to maintain influence through their traditional methods. How did the Taraxians handle it? Seized the contraband, provided the crew with legitimate trade licenses, and sent them on their way, exactly according to Coalition guidelines. Maya was now outlining the Coalition's technological sharing program. Every member world would have access to the combined scientific knowledge of all species, with a single restriction. They must contribute their own discoveries to the common database. We advance together, she explained, or not at all. The days of artificial technological hierarchies are over. The chamber's quantum sensors suddenly pulsed with activity. A massive Confederation diplomatic vessel had appeared at the edge of the system, broadcasting a request for emergency audience. Maya paused, looking to Chen for guidance. The Admiral stood, her voice carrying across the chamber. The Confederation once demanded we remain silent in our own system, claiming we were too primitive for galactic society. Today, they can wait until we finish establishing our free coalition. Then we will hear them as equals, not as supplicants before their former subjects. Applause filled the chamber. The message was clear. The balance of power had shifted permanently. The Confederation could adapt to the new reality or fade into irrelevance. Message from Earth Command, Zhang reported. The quantum defense network is fully operational. All coalition worlds are now connected. Chen watched the representatives continue their work, drafting laws based on cooperation rather than control. Earth had hidden its true capabilities for decades, watching the Confederation's corruption. Now they were helping build something better. A galaxy where strength came from working together, not keeping others down. The coalition grows stronger every day, Maya concluded, not through force or fear, but through the simple power of species choosing to stand together. The future belongs not to those who control, but to those who cooperate. As the Congress continued its work, ships of all designs moved peacefully through nearby space. The Confederation's enforced peace was being replaced by something far more powerful, genuine harmony between equals. Humanity had helped light the way, but every species now walked forward together into a brighter future. The Confederation Council chamber fell silent as High Commander Vex Thor watched the latest reports. Half their member worlds had already joined the coalition. Their carefully maintained system of control was collapsing not through war, but through simple choice. Message from Unity Station, his aide announced. The coalition has agreed to a final meeting. On the ETS Nightshade, Admiral Chen prepared for the historic encounter. Earth's strategy had worked better than anyone imagined. By helping others gain independence rather than seeking dominance, they had transformed the galaxy. Multiple Confederation ships detected. Lieutenant Santos reported. All diplomatic vessels, minimal weapons. How times change, Chen mused. 6 months ago, they would have arrived with a battle fleet. The meeting took place in neutral space. The Confederation's ornate diplomatic ships faced a mixed fleet of coalition vessels. Dr. Maya Patel led the coalition delegation, while the Confederation sent their full council. You've destroyed centuries of peace, Council leader Zack still began, his ceremonial robes unable to hide his agitation. We've ended centuries of oppression, Maya corrected. The peace you maintained required keeping others weak. We've shown there's a better way. The quantum displays showed the reality the Council couldn't deny. Worlds that had been dependent on Confederation approval were now thriving independently. Trade flowed more freely than ever. Former enemies worked together, sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. Your coalition cannot last, another council member declared. Without central authority, there will be chaos. Admiral Chen stepped forward. We don't need central authority. We need cooperation. Every species in the coalition remains sovereign, but we choose to work together. Real peace doesn't come from forcing compliance. It comes from choosing to stand united. The displays shifted, showing the new quantum defense network that connected coalition worlds. Not a system of control, but a web of mutual protection. Any attack on one world would be met by the combined response of all. The Confederation faces a choice, Maya explained. Continue claiming authority over worlds that no longer accept your rule or join us as equals. Your experience and knowledge would be welcomed, but only if you truly understand that the old ways are over. Warning signals flashed across the Nightshade sensors. A massive Confederation battle fleet had quantum shifted into the system, weapons powered. A final test of strength, Chen asked calmly. The council members shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't their plan. Hardliners in their military had acted independently, refusing to accept the change in power. Maya smiled slightly. Watch carefully, she told the council. See what real cooperation looks like. Space rippled as coalition ships emerged from quantum shift, not dozens, but thousands. Every member world had sent vessels. Former enemies flew in perfect formation, their combined technology far beyond what the Confederation had permitted. But it wasn't the show of force that made the Confederation fleet stand down. It was the simple fact that many of their own member worlds were represented in the coalition fleet. The days of enforced obedience were over. You see, Maya asked the council, we didn't defeat you. We simply showed everyone a better way. Your choice now is simple: adapt or become irrelevant. The council huddled together, their private discussion carried out in urgent whispers. Finally, Zack still stepped forward. The Confederation. He paused, centuries of tradition weighing heavily. The Confederation requests membership in the coalition. As equals, not rulers. Chen exchanged glances with Maya. This was the moment they had worked toward. Not victory through combat, but transformation through example. Application accepted, Maya declared. Welcome to a new age of true cooperation. The quantum displays showed the news spreading across known space. The great power that had maintained control through restriction and fear was choosing to become part of something better. Send word to Earth, Chen ordered quietly. Operation Dawn successful. The transformation is complete. As the diplomatic ships began coordination for the integration process, Chen watched former Confederation worlds already reaching out to share technology and knowledge with their one-time rulers. Humanity had shown the galaxy a different path, one where strength came from lifting others up, not holding them down. The stars shone brightly on this historic day, not as distant points of light separated by fear and restriction, but as bridges between species now free to grow together. The dawn of true peace had finally arrived.